Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
Hello. Shout out to Flash, who's first in the chat tonight. It is going great. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome. All right. So huge shout out to Heather for tagging me in this video here with not this one. Actually, I'll show you guys which video here in a sec with Jeff and Shaleia. Was this supposed to be members only? No, it was not supposed to be members only. Other ones have been members only, but now that they are back in the forefront and people will have some idea of what these people are and what Twin Flames is, it's a little bit of a different situation, especially because there could actually be some legal angles here to cover versus just sort of looking at the disaster that is Twin Flames. Kane's here. Welcome. Happy to see you, my friend. Rat Daddy in the house. I sent Twiz his special text, so hopefully we'll see Twiz here as well shortly. So, yeah, we have done a lot of videos on Twin Flames, right? And a lot of their videos up until the last live stream, which was members only. All of the videos that we were watching were theirs from numbers of years ago. Because what happened was 3 years ago, they completely stopped altogether producing any type of content on their YouTube page. Why? Well, they were featured in a number of documentaries and they were under federal investigation. And here's what happened last time. I'll just recap this. So here's what happened last time. Let me show you all this. This is the whole thing. So what happened was I noticed that after, so you can see 3 years ago. So these were all, and then they go back in time, right? And then all out of the blue, I was like, wait, what? They're back. So after taking 3 years off, we've got all these videos back to back. 1 month ago, 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 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 12 days ago, 8 days ago, 7 days ago, and on and on and on. Same thing with their posts, right? They had a 3-year hiatus and then they're back. All their content, right? So my speculation at the time, this was from like what, a week and a half ago or maybe, my speculation was that they had been under federal investigation and state investigation, right? My speculation was that the feds likely told them that they were no longer under investigation, right? And this is a tactic that the feds will do, is they will tell people, because they'll say they're not under investigation so that then the people will go and self-snitch basically, right? And go about their lives thinking, oh, we're fine, right? So my looking at just the timeline of the videos, my speculation was, wow, so what must have happened is that they were told it was that they're no longer on investigation and now they're back. And what was their re-entry into this whole world on their YouTube channel? Their first video they made was this one. They called us a cult, but they were lying to you, and it's supposed to be a video to the Netflix, or a reaction video to the Netflix documentary, which it's really not. That shouldn't surprise anybody. We started watching this last time and we're going to watch more of it tonight. But that was their first video out the gate, right? And so sure enough, they've been making all this more content. Look at this, money talks, right? We're going to watch all these in due time. Don't worry. And then what happened was this. And this is the video I was saying, thank you to Heather for tagging me in. Let me find this. Hold on. Okay. What happened was this, and this was just from a couple days ago, guys. This is from a couple days ago. All right. Now I'm going to have to put the thing on here so that I don't get, Law&Crime. Okay. So we're going to watch this first. Now, what's great about this is a couple things. First of all, for anyone who's not familiar with Twin Flames, this will give everybody a little overview or a reminder, right? But also, this has the critical updates in terms of what's going on with the investigation, okay? Now, remember, this is from a couple days ago. So keep that in the back of your minds, and then we're going to go look back at the timeline of the videos of their content on YouTube. P. Fox, I can see you. Welcome, my friend. Happy you're here. I can see you. Okay, so Flash, you must have seen this video. Yes. So, it seems, so this is, not to be any spoilers here, but it sounds like my speculation was correct in that they were told they were no longer investigation. They went and put out a bunch more content, and now they're under investigation again. And what we're going to look at is the timeline to see, have they produced any more content since this news broke? And this news broke not just on Law&Crime, but also on News Nation and other major media outlets. And due to a Facebook post, which we're going to see in this video. So after this news broke just a few days ago, have they put out any more content? Because they were spitting out content rapid fire, like they were doing until their 3-year hiatus. Okay, guys? So, all right, let's go.
I questioned Jeff, and his reply was, how dare you question your God?
What Jeff and Shaleia do, it's control. That is how one former follower described the leaders of Twin Flames Universe, an online group now at the center of a sweeping investigation. Accused of coercion, financial exploitation, and spiritual manipulation, these self-declared spiritual gurus are facing potentially serious legal heat. We're going to break it all down right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is another Law&Crime legal alert.
Skip this nonsense. Okay.
.com/LC Depot to see if you qualify. Well, things are certainly heating up in Michigan, where state and federal authorities have launched a sweeping investigation into a controversial online group that is accused of manipulating its members. The target? It's Twin Flames Universe, or TFU. This is this online spiritual community that claims to help people find their ultimate romantic partner.
Oh my God, soulmate. Guys. The way that I died when this video had just come out and Heather tagged me in it, I couldn't believe it. I lost my mind. Not because it says they're under investigation from the feds, because I'm like, oh my God, like Twin Flames. Like now people are going to know who they are for real, even if they didn't see the document. Like, again, like I said, News Nation had a thing on them. We have Law&Crime. I wouldn't be surprised if Court TV picks it up. Y'all, but we were here first, guys.
The promises of love and divine connection, there are disturbing allegations of coercion, financial exploitation, and identity manipulation. Allegations, to be clear, allegations. Now, the investigation was sparked in part by Netflix's explosive docuseries, Escaping Twin Flames, which exposed how group founders Jeff and Shaleia Divine allegedly convinced followers to sever ties with family, shell out tens of thousands of dollars for coaching programs, and in some cases undergo gender transitions, not out of personal conviction, but conform to the group's rigid spiritual framework. That was the main narrative or alleged narrative of this show. And just here's a chilling excerpt from the documentary.
What Jeff and Shaleia do has nothing to do with love. It's control.
I questioned Jeff, and his reply was, how dare you question your God?
The image of Christ was actually me, the second coming, not Jesus, the first coming. It's insane what I ask of you, for you to have my divine light.
Now, if you haven't seen Escaping Twin Flames, it's streaming now on Netflix. It is a wild, wild ride. But now, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel announced a formal probe into TFU in a major development.
Now, it looks like this just happened. And again, we're going to see what impact this has on their springing back to life, as it were, on their YouTube channel. And what if any impact is it going to have? It's going to be really interesting. So we'll take a look at that.
Search warrants were executed at multiple properties linked to the group as part of a coordinated effort involving both state and federal agencies. In a Facebook announcement, Nessel gave an update on the investigation, stating this.
Today, my office, along with local law enforcement, the Michigan State Police, and the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Inspector General executed search warrants on 2 residences as part of our investigation into Twin Flames Universe. Twin Flames is a largely online organization with leaders based in Leelanau County, Michigan, that allegedly uses coercive control over its members, both in Michigan and across the United States. We believe that many of their actions may have been illegal, and we're asking for the general public's help in this investigation. Anyone with information about potential criminal conduct regarding Twin Flames Universe, its operators, Jeff and Shaleia Divine, Christine and Jason Emmerich, its related organizations, including the Church
The
of the
Church
Union
of the
and the mind alignment
Union.
process or their members are encouraged to contact my office
Church
and may
of the
do so
Union, guys.
anonymously.
So investigators on the ground.
Church of the Union. Now, we on one of many of our deep dives, we went and watched some of the quote unquote sermons of Church of the Union. Church of the Union puts out virtual quote unquote sermons every Sunday. Apparently, they have like a live chat or whatever. You can go and participate if you feel so inclined. Yeah.
Included special agents from the Michigan Department of Attorney General, U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General, Michigan State Police, and deputies from different county sheriff's offices. So I want to invite on right now two special guests to help me break all this down. First, we got with us Gene Rossi, former federal prosecutor, criminal defense attorney, and Rick Ross, a cult expert, founder of the Cult Education Institute, and author of Cults Inside Out, How People Get In and Can Get Out. All right.
Now, Rick Ross is like the GOAT when it comes to cults. And it's really funny because I believe on one of our deep dives for the Twin Flint, I think we were actually talking about him one night, and we were actually saying, God, I wish he could get on this case, and like, what would he think about them? And da-da. Well, here it is, guys. Here's Rick Ross. He's gonna weigh in on these two.
So let's talk about it. Great to have you both here. Gene, why are all these agencies working together?
Oh, very simple. And I'm surprised the Federal Bureau of Investigation is not involved. The allegation, and I'm sure that's...
The reason the FBI is not involved. Now, they have been involved. Now, well, let me also just say, we don't know, right? There's no way of knowing for sure. That there's other federal agencies involved at this juncture. The FBI has been involved. There's no way of knowing, right? As far as what, keep a secret, keep it safe. Am I right, guys?
The allegation in the affidavits for the search warrants, and Rick can probably add on to this, is probably mail and wire fraud.
Yep.
They're arguing that there's a scheme to defraud people with a bait and switch. You join this, twin flames universe, if you will, and I'm going to make your life better. I'm going to find you a partner. You're going to get spiritual support, yada, yada, yada. And the fraud, wire and mail fraud, is probably when they get in the door, everything's different. You have to contribute. You have to give money. You have to do chores.
Yep.
You have to conform your life. And I was thinking about this about 10 minutes ago. Rick probably is very familiar with this. In November of 1978, in Guyana, Jim Jones had a cult. And hundreds of people literally, I'm not being facetious, drank the Kool-Aid, poisonous, and died.
Wow.
And a cult is something that draws people in. It consumes your life. And, one person's cult is another's religion. So that would be their argument.
Yep.
But this is a massive investigation. I am surprised that the FBI is not involved.
Well, before I go to Rick real quick, so at this point, it's unclear what exactly was seized during the searches or which specific crime.
Remember, guys, they had already taken his stupid car. That was from the last seizure a couple of years back.
Being investigated, but we know that a judge found probable cause to issue those warrants. That is significant, right? That means something. There has to be some indicia. There has to be some basis here. There has to be something that they might be looking into, right?
Well, when you get a search warrant from a judge, you have to establish probable cause that a crime has been committed. And probable cause.
Yeah, and right. I mean, speaking of crimes, right? I mean, right off the bat, one of the many crimes, and many with a capital M, is when Shaleia matched her chair, right?
It's about 40% certainty. Preponderance is 51%. Beyond reasonable doubt, it's like 90%. But probable cause is 40% certainty. So they've persuaded a jurist for these search warrants, I don't know the exact number, that their crime has been committed and that the location that they want to search and seize documents from is connected to that crime. So that's what they've proven with their affidavits. And I'm sure the affidavit is probably 70 to 100 pages long.
Guys.
And it could be just wire and mail fraud. Those are your bread and butter. It could be identity theft. It could be a host of money laundering. It could be a lot of things that we're not aware of right now. But you're right. Getting search warrants is a huge deal. And what they seized is probably massive. documents, objects, things like that. And it's going to take time for them to review the search warrant material.
And we're going to get into what might be going on here. But Rick, over to you. How would you classify Twin Flames universe based on what we know? Would you consider it a cult? Would you consider it a high control group? Would you consider it something else?
I would consider it, in my opinion, a destructive cult. I think that Jeff Devine and his wife, Shaleia Devine, are charismatic leaders that have become an object of worship, and that they use coercive,
not even become, demanded that they are
control to manipulate and exploit their followers. And based on the complaints about the group, it is a destructive group. People have been hurt very badly. Families have been hurt very badly. And the Devines live in a mansion. That's where they were raided in Michigan.
Do you guys remember the bit with the hot tub and he was like, you could fit 50,000 children in this hot tub? God. Oh.
So they have profited enormously from this online group. And what's interesting about it is what we're seeing.
He looks especially culty there, doesn't he? Look at his eyes. Whew.
Is typical of what's going on today, which is people are recruited through social media platforms. They follow cult leaders on Twitter, on Facebook. They are indoctrinated through videos on YouTube, and they transfer money.
You guys hear that? Listen.
They follow cult leaders on Twitter, on Facebook. They are indoctrinated through videos on YouTube.
They're indoctrinated through videos on YouTube. Now, remember the timing, right? Timing. We're going to look at the timing of when they sprung back to YouTube after that 3-year hiatus, and they're pumping out content every day, right? And then this video was from what, 2 days ago? How's that going to affect what they're doing on the YouTube?
And they transfer money through Venmo and PayPal. So you can be a cult leader and work your cult remotely from your mansion in Michigan. And so I would think in the raid that has occurred, they're after the hard drives, they're after all the evidence to show the trail of exploitation that these two have wrought.
And look, the details of those warrants, they remain sealed, okay? But former members who spoke to Vanity Fair, they have painted a very troubling picture of life inside the Twin Flames universe, or alleged picture. Because let's get into this. They allege that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the group housed so-called boot camp students who were expected to run errands, perform unpaid labor for the organization, all under the guise of spiritual training. Right. Beyond that, TFU has been accused of operating exploitative pricing models, which with coaching courses reaching up to $8,888 for top-tier access. Former members also cited pressure to make large financial donations. Gene, is that, forced labor? Is there a coercion aspect to this that you might be looking in terms of potential?
Like, this is a rhetorical question.
Criminal charges?
Absolutely. And you got an amendment to the United States Constitution talked about involuntary servitude. So you may have a statute that enforces that amendment. But here, because the Department of Labor is involved, you can guarantee that one of the theories is that these individuals, these suckers, if you will, allegedly become members of this cult or this entity, and they become indentured servants, and they are pressured mentally, if not physically, to become essentially slaves. That gets into labor laws where you have to issue, not making this up, you got to issue salaries and W-2s, withholding. So that's why the Department of Labor is probably involved.
Rick, do you think the pandemic
and let's not forget that there's a literal video of Jeff saying that he created the church on purpose for tax fraud and tax evasion purposes, and that he literally said, oh, we can profit from this, and we can also force people to have even more slave labor.
The role in making people
and he said we can get them to donate as well.
More susceptible to joining high control online communities, if that's what this is. I mean, the larger question is, why do people join groups like this?
Well, absolutely. The pandemic caused people to be shut in, isolated. They would connect with people online. And these groups are trolling online. And no one deliberately joins a cult. It's really a bait and switch con. So what you think you're going to get,
Again,
you're forever
switch. We're going to switch your gender.
spiritual partner is not what you end up getting. What you end up getting is exploited, taken advantage of, which no one imagines when they first become involved. So you might be approached at a particularly vulnerable time in your life when you're going through something depressing, something stressful, and then online you see something that seems like an answer and that is deliberately deceptive to lure you in. And then you become submerged in the group. And what families are saying about Twin Flames universe is that when their loved ones become involved, they get cut off. People become socially isolated, embedded in the group. And if the labor department is involved with labor violations, what you're seeing is what I see over and over again play out in many groups called cults, which is you can make money off of free labor. If you have low overhead, you can run a restaurant, you can do a packaging subcontract, or you can just have people being your gophers, keeping everything running smoothly and not giving them really anything other than assurances.
That would be perfect for you, right? Because you could bring your rats along and they could be the gophers.
And maybe some so-called spiritual counseling.
So let's talk about it, because according to Twin Flames Universe's belief system, it blends elements of Christianity with wellness coaching. And every person has this divinely appointed soulmate, their twin flame, who they're destined to be with no matter the circumstances. And after Jeff Ian and Megan Plant, so now we're talking about Jeff and Shaleia Divine, met through a friend and connected through Facebook back in 2012, that's when TFU began. And they started with YouTube coaching videos, promising viewers they could find true love, just like the Divines had. Over time, the group grew into a full-fledged online business, offering tiered memberships, coaching, spiritual content. Packages can cost anywhere from $4,444 to $8,888, depending on the level of access. By 2019, Jeff claimed the organization was worth nearly $2 million. Their spiritual philosophy blends this kind of mysticism with Christian elements. In recent years, they've gone further, declaring themselves the second coming. Shaleia is the mother Christ, Jeff the father Christ. And at the time they said this, their future daughter, who is not yet conceived, is the princess of all creation. As for this whole twin flame concept, the founders say that a twin flame may not even realize there's someone's spiritual match. That is a concept that has led to disturbing real-world consequences. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But Jean, again, going back to this, as we're talking about it, if we're potentially talking fraud or labor or coercion or labor, I mean, we just covered the Diddy case. Is this RICO? Are we also thinking potentially RICO? Again, we're speculating because we really don't know what they're looking at. But I have to ask this question.
Yes, academically, it could be RICO. What made
oh my God, the way that I would love to see the feds drop the RICO hammer down on these two fools.
Diddy's case unique is that he had a business that made a ton of money, allegedly, legitimately, through his singing abilities and all that. And in the Diddy case, they were trying to put a square peg in a round hole because the entity that
Jeff and Shaleia,
he allegedly was using to do his various predicate acts, it was legal and legitimate.
So I think I see where he's going with this, which there's a distinction between them and Diddy in that nothing that Jeff and Shaleia have ever been doing has ever been legit. I think that's probably where he's going. And I would agree. I think RICO would be totally appropriate for Jeff and Shaleia, my personal opinion.
Made money on its own. Here, I'll call it Twin Flames. In the Twin Flames organization, the organization itself is an enterprise that we allegedly are thinking is corrupt.
Too fast.
So ab initio, at the beginning, the organization is corrupt. And Rick hit the nail on the head. This is all about the con. On paper, online.
And literally, there's videos of him saying as much. That's why it's great. The self-snitching of it all. On
paper, in their tax filings, it looks like a legitimate organization. But as these people enter the door, it becomes the con. So everything they've promised online is belied by their actions and the way they're treated when they get through the door. And that's where the rubber meets the road. You knock on the door, you think you're going to go to heaven, figuratively, and absolutely going to hell because you're losing your money.
So
Very well said.
Losing your identity.
yeah, Gene, does it all come down to consent? If I was an able-bodied, willing participant, is all consent? There's no crime here?
Absolutely, because as I said, I think before, one man's cult is another man's religion.
Right.
You know, there are religions out there, I'm not going to mention names, where we think it's a strange religion or challenging, but the people enter that religion and they consent to it.
Now, here's what I will say. We've watched these videos. What he's getting at here, I think, so there's multiple facets, multiple avenues by which these two fools could be charged, right? So essentially, in terms of the consenting adults or what have you, that would really be when it comes to like harm done to the cult members, right? Such as forcing them to change gender, slave labor, blah, blah. But the thing is there's other things that they have done that are being investigated that have nothing to do with that. For example, like with the church, right? And the tax fraud and the tax evasion, that have nothing to do with people being consenting or not being consenting, right? In other words, you've got one category of harm to other people, right? And then you've got another category of like harm to the government, as it were, if that makes sense. And so regardless of what would become of, because that is a trickier one, right? When it comes to consenting adults and whatnot, right? But the first bucket, God, we're back to the buckets of harm to the government, as it were, and all the financial stuff. That's all, that's all there. That's going to be, in my opinion, pretty easy to prove, because again, we even have an admission on video, and that's just from what we've seen, right? As obviously there's going to be way more out there. And I remember in the documentary that we watched, she had some papers in terms of documents and whatnot that also, I think she said she got from the feds or something that were dealing with the investigation that in terms of the financial misdeeds, again, has nothing to do with adults being consenting. So in other words, hope is not lost, guys, yet.
and those are legitimate. You got First Amendment protections. I may not agree with it, but a cult's a different thing. A cult is based on and survives only by deceit and exploitation. And that's the goal of those search warrants. Was there deceit and exploitation?
Right.
And that's where the rubber meets the road. And Rick mentioned their mansions. Prosecutors love when fraudsters, RICO people, allegedly make a ton of money off of their fraud. So
enough to have a tiny waterfall.
That mansion, if there is a conviction, is going to be forfeited, and that's a gold star for the prosecutors if they get a conviction.
Rick, does what I described, some of these elements, are these characteristic of other groups you've seen before?
Well, sure. It's a parallel to Keith Raniere and NXIVM.
Right.
And as you may know, I testified as a fact witness in the criminal trial of Keith Raniere, and he did the same thing. It was all about coaching. It was all about a course curriculum, very expensive courses, but it ended up becoming coerced labor, coerced.
There's a lot of overlap with NXIVM, but again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, these guys take it many steps further because they have the separate entities as well, and then also the gender conversion.
Sexual favors. And Keith Raniere is now serving a 100+ year sentence in federal prison. So he was convicted of racketeering, sex trafficking, fraud, and other members of the group also served time in prison.
And that is a good point to think about too, because in terms of this whole problem with cults and consenting adults, didn't mean for that to rhyme. But remembering, I'm glad he mentioned it, because Keith Raniere, they got a conviction there, 100 years in federal prison. And same type of thing, right? Whereas any issues you could say with people being consenting adults, there was plenty of other issues there that were grounds for charges and convictions with Keith Raniere. So, and of course, then, of course, it can cross a line, right? You could have adults that start out consenting and then are no longer consenting, right? Which happened with Keith Raniere for sure. Any of you guys who know about NXIVM. So the question will be, is that also an avenue they can go down here?
So this is nothing new. And what you see
right,
is
Spock.
Coercive control. That is coercing members by creating unreasonable fears about leaving the group, by intimidation, by gaslighting and manipulating them, by isolating them from their families and old friends so that they become dependent upon the leaders to think for them, make value judgments for them. And in this particular group, the promise of having a spiritual partner or your twin flame became very difficult because there were many women, not many men. And they began to tell some of the women that they needed to become men in order to fulfill their twin flame, destiny.
And remember, and why it's in thinking about how all this could tie back together legally. And the reason they did that was so that they could continue to make money. When you can tie it all into the profit, like a profit, not profit like he thinks he's a prophet, not PROPHET, but PROFIT. When you can tie it all together back to trying for them to try to drive a profit, I think you can, you're really into that RICO territory, man. And you're also able to really, I think, yeah, this could really, it'll be really interesting to see where this goes, guys.
And some of these women left the group and they said, quite frankly, I'm not a lesbian and I'm not interested in changing my gender. And others went along with the leaders and conformed to whatever they wanted. So this is a very twisted kind of thing where people really were hurt and damaged and experienced personal injury and family estrangement.
Personal injury.
So
now
TFU's relationship guidance, it has certainly raised additional red flags. Why? Because in one 2017 video, Jeff Devine instructed members to seemingly pursue their twin flames regardless of interest or existing relationships.
So your twin flame may appear to be with someone else, but it's just a lie, and you can choose differently.
This kind of advice has reportedly led to some serious legal consequences, supposedly, because as Vanity Fair reports, it wasn't uncommon for members to chase their so-called twin flame despite clear rejection or even legal boundaries. In one case, a woman recounted in a 2017 Facebook post that her supposed twin flame called her a stalker and threatened police action. Just 2 weeks later, she was on a bus to another country planning to relocate near him. And there was a response to the group that said, sounds like you're being guided to be closer and connected to your twin flame. God supports you on your next big step. And one of the most troubling allegations involves TFU's handling of gender identity. You see, multiple former members, especially women, said they were told they were actually divine masculine energies in female bodies and were allegedly pressured to change their names, their pronouns, their appearance. There were even those who began medical transition. One such member, Victoria Bonilla from Alabama, recalled being paired with another female follower as her twin flame, despite the fact that she identifies as straight. And when she expressed her discomfort, her coach allegedly insisted that the other woman was actually a man in spiritual form. She told Vanity Fair, I wasn't a lesbian. Now, Gene, based on the guidance, that Jeff Devine gave, encouraging people or allegedly encouraging people to pursue someone regardless of their interest or relationship status, could that, rise to some sort of level of criminal conduct? What is the legal line from your perspective as you listen to this?
It all depends. With any scheme, you have to compare what is promised and what is actually delivered.
Okay.
So if they're promising this, if they are promising this, even though it's crazy, I think it would be hard to prove a crime. It's just crazy. But if they're saying in their online literature and all that, something that's contrary to what they're trying to get this individual to do once they enter the door and they face the con, then you have fraud.
Yeah. And I think that's an important point because we've looked at this extensively and I've even taken the quiz on the website and there's nothing there that talks about switching genders, but also not only that, their initial teaching, as it were, quote unquote, if you guys remember this part, is that every single person is either 100% masculine or 100% feminine. So if anything, if you're just getting into this cult, you would like literally gender conversion would be the last thing you would think about, right? If anything, they sound almost homophobic. You know what I mean? So I totally think there's a good point there of how the gender conversion wouldn't be mentioned until you're deep enough into where they think you would go for it. So, yeah.
And if there's money transacted to get this service, if you will, this counseling, that would be part of the fraud.
Yeah, you do. You
Rick,
pay
there's
for
always
it.
not always, but it seems in a lot of times in these cases, there is a sexual component, right? And it also.
Yeah, Jesse, there is a sexual. Clearly, he's not watched all the videos because do you guys remember? Well, I'm sure you remember. I don't need to remind anybody. Those sounds of Jeff back when he had the short hair shrieking when he had the bowl. You guys remember that one? Yeah.
If you're talking about, hey, listen, I can find you
Ultimate
your
lover.
soulmate. That is such an attractive option. Everybody's looking for love. So you take something. I mean, if these allegations are true, you take something, supply and demand. People are wanting to find a soulmate and allegedly exploiting that. But also there's always like this, it seems to be a lot of times a sexual component. What are you taking away from that?
Yep.
Well, I think that the women involved were people that were looking for someone to marry, someone that they could have a lifelong relationship with. It wasn't so much a sexual thing as it was a sense of fulfillment in marriage, family, etc. And of course, the group misled these women in multiple situations. And they told them one thing, and then when they became involved, they switched.
Yeah, so he clearly doesn't know either. They have not spent enough time deep diving this because so many, and we're going to take a look here in just a second when this video is up. We're going to take a look at their YouTube. So many of their videos, as you guys well know, are sexual in nature and talk about, making love with your twin flame. And again, like this, the ultimate lover, right? In fact, if you go to their website, Ultimate Lover is all over the place. And in fact, I think it's part of their book. And, you guys know, it's just the sexual element is really key, is a huge part of this, which again, when you're dealing with a bunch of straight women can be problematic, right?
And said another thing. So in that sense, it's a bait and switch con. But I think there was an underlying feeling of having a fulfillment in a loving relationship that they promised these women. And I think there are many people, most of us want to have a loving relationship. And here was a group that said they had a way, that they had a path to fulfilling that. And so many of these people were victimized by just the simple desire to have a loving relationship.
And as this legal investigation into TFU continues, it presents challenges. So the group operates almost entirely online. It complicates maybe jurisdictional questions. I'm going to ask Gene about that real quick. But it's a combination of spiritual teachings, for-profit coaching, blurs the line between what's considered religious freedom, consumer exploitation. And TFU said the allegations were misleading, that in a public statement, it defended itself. It reads, "We take seriously recent allegations implying we wield inappropriate control over our community members. After a careful review of both media coverage and recent productions, we are saddened that so much effort has gone into taking swipes at an organization and community founded on love and mutual respect. The allegations levied against Twin Flames Universe not only distort our true aims, methods, and curriculums, but also misrepresent the autonomy of our community members who are free to engage with our resources as they see fit. We are committed to confronting these allegations in an open and accountable manner." Now,
which literally we are in the process of watching them do that, quote unquote, with their YouTube videos.
in a video from May of 2025, the Divines doubled down on their narrative, saying they were just trying to explore and collaborate with their members.
So this must be one of their recent video. I mean, it is. Holy shit. So again, they've started pumping out all this new content, right? And then you've got this announcement from the AG in Michigan, right, about the investigation. Again, this has all just happened, and now you've got Jesse actually acknowledging and literally mentioning specifically a May 2025 video. Again, how is this going to impact what they do next?
It's a spiritual work that we.
Oh my God! So this literally, you guys, take a look. This literally is from the video that we started watching on the last one. Look, you guys can see. So I'm sharing this tab. This is where we were. It's from literally this exact same video that we are in the process of watching. That is so funny. Same video.
That we share with you guys.
Wow.
Has real spiritual results.
As Twin Flame spiritual guru, we were helping students do that on an individual basis at the pace they were asking. And guess what?
Yeah.
This was new, not just to us, but to literally planet Earth. No one else was doing what we were doing ever. This was experimental and exploratory, and it wasn't a Jeff and Shaleia do as we say, as the media likes to portray it.
Yeah, I know.
This was a collaborative endeavor.
Now, Gene, you hear that defense, but also you're looking at this investigation. What do you take away from that? And also, was I right? Are there jurisdictional issues? Are there certain issues that complicate a potential prosecution?
The beauty of a conspiracy, and obviously the couple are at least two conspirators. And here's what I'd like to know. Does a search warrant reveal, multiple conspirators? But the beauty of a conspiracy is that wherever any overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy occurs, you have venue. So if there's a victim in California, there's a victim in Alabama, Florida, if there's a victim in any of the 50 states, including the territories, and DC, that would be a basis for jurisdiction. It sounds like any interest would be with the U.S. Attorney's Office at the federal level.
Fuck yeah, get 'em.
In Michigan, if they had the energy and passion to prosecute this. Right now, it's at the state level. Right now. And the Department of Labor for the United States is involved. There's a possibility it may rise to a federal case where the U.S. Attorney is handling it.
Can you imagine being Jeff and Shaleia watching this? And do you think that they're like, what's federal? Like, they're probably literally Googling this as they're watching it. Like, how fucked are we?
Because of the information obtained by the search warrant. One thing I would look for in the search warrant is, one, how much money they're making, where is it going, other than the mansion? And number two, you want documents, emails, communication, text messages that show the big lie, show that this couple knows it's a fraud.
Those exist.
And knows that they're
100%.
conning people and they're relishing it. If there's evidence to that.
There is. Literally, we not only is there evidence to that, we've already seen it. It was in again, we've only watched on this channel one of the documentaries in terms of there's also the Netflix and there's the other one, whatever, who was it? Amazon, whoever it was. Anyways, we watched the one that was the least stylized and also the most recent. But anyway, just from what was in that one documentary alone, all of this exists. And that's, I'm sure, just a freaking snippet. I mean, these guys are the self-snitching champions of the world, man.
Allegedly, this couple is in very deep trouble.
P. Fox makes a great point. He thinks it's free advertising. That's that. Spot on. But like he just said this, I just wanted to hear it again.
Knows that they're conning people and they're relishing it. If there's evidence to that, allegedly, this couple's in very deep trouble.
Oh boy.
Rick, look, there's no charges as of yet. They are innocent until proven guilty. A lot of this is just allegations. But their defense, this idea of free choice, collaboration, in your experience, do groups use that language a lot of times?
Well, of course. And the fact that there's a kind of spiritual, religious overlay, they're going to say, well, look, this is a matter of faith. They had faith. Therefore, it wasn't fraud. They were true believers. They consented to be in the group. They participated because they wanted to. They gave us their money as donations or for coaching, etc. But the reality is, to what extent did they misrepresent themselves? And also, what kind of coercion did they use? And could you see a pattern of undue influence? That is, that the people involved were not acting in their own best interest, but consistently in the best interests of Jeff and his wife, the Divines. I mean, were they in fact being manipulated? And I think when you see people again and again doing something that doesn't benefit them, but benefits the leaders, there is an issue of undue influence. And so I think that this is going to play out in that way. And to what extent did the divines coerce them? Did they threaten them with some type of spiritual retribution, or that they would forever be lost and never find love, and so on? Did they make them really afraid to leave? And in that sense, did they coerce
front and back of the hand spankings
them in order to exploit them?
for real? P-Fox, I was thinking.
Well, the Attorney General's office has opened a tip line urging anybody with information to come forward. And with escaping twin flames sparking national outrage, this case has become more than just an investigation. It is reigniting a conversation. So with that in mind, let me just leave you with another clip from that Netflix special.
How much power have I given to these people?
Dissolve the illusion and recognize that you're actually a man.
I felt like I didn't recognize myself.
He already took my daughter. If anybody should be scared, it should be him.
I will never stop fighting for my sister to come home.
Man, the tea is now being spilled.
And as the investigation unfolds, one thing is clear. In the search for love and meaning, some found something maybe far more dangerous. We'll see what happens next. Gene Ross.
Here we go. Oh, this is the tiny waterfall, people. They are they're hitting the big time. So now we're going to take a look after all the what I've set up here. We're going to take a look back at their Facebook page. Remember what I said, right? Okay, we're back to this. So, and I can also go back to this. So again, they had their hiatus, right? They had their comeback from 1 month ago, which is the video that we're going to be watching next here in a second. We started watching this last time. And all these videos from since a month happened, since a month ago, guys. 1, 2, look at this money talks with the big one. I mean, when I talk about self-snitching, this thumbnail right here, guys, where it says money talks, like, look at that. You got to be kidding me. All right. So since they came back a month ago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 videos and numerous posts as well. But here's the thing. When you look at how frequently they've been pumping out this content, since they seemed to think it was safe to do so after their hiatus, the thing is 7 days ago is their most recent one. So what I'm wondering, remember, like I said, my theory was like, were they told it was safe, right? Oh, you're no longer under investigation. Go be fools, right? And then they go be fools. And then now now they're aware, right? There's no way they're not aware. And I wonder, are we going to see them go silent again, right? Or will they not? It'll be very interesting because the thing is this video, the 7 days ago being the most recent one, that was before that Law&Crime video. And also with it, there was also News Nation and maybe even like other mainstream media. I wouldn't know. But in other words, that was only from like 2 or 3 days ago at the latest. So I'm wondering if they will take another hiatus. But in the meantime, we've got plenty of videos to catch up on. So I think this one is especially funny here where it says the Matrix is real. Look at that thumbnail. So with that being said, we're going to continue on where we left off. And I backed it up a little bit with this one, their big comeback video from a month ago, which they just also cited in the Law&Crime video. So, alrighty, let's go.
Teaching and to the best of anyone's knowledge, after we scrutinized every detail, we've done a phenomenal job of serving and loving and caring for every single student who has passed through our doors to the best of our ability.
The former students that were upset about, us inviting them to, look at their gender or sexuality. I mean, no one was forced to change their gender. No one's ever been forced to change their gender.
No one's been forced to do anything.
And it's literally written in our book. We have a chapter in our book on the gender thing, and like you can read exactly how we think and feel about it. And
we know,
like no one's ever been forced into it. And at that point of time,
you guys think that they planned this ahead of time to both be wearing black long-sleeved V-neck style shirts?
Teaching, We were working directly with students at the time.
Sorry, P. Fox with a great idea for a new game, like a Where's Waldo cult edition. How many pictures of Jesus do you see on the shelves? I see at least 3 so far. Yeah, let's take a look, guys, and we can play this game as we go on. There's also going to be some other deities as well on the shelves. Now we have to keep in mind that to Jeff, none of them are nearly as big a deal as he is, right? He's the head honcho Jesus with a tiny waterfall.
Forming Twin Flame Ascension School. We were in the middle of it. We were people's guide. Like, this was the relationship. This was the contractual relationship that you got into.
Contractual.
You wanted us to help you.
Contractual relationship. Listen, I'm going to try to think about what they're saying and how much of this is incriminating legally, right? A contractual relationship. Oh my God. What was in that contract? Like, this is all like I said, this is why I believe they were told, okay, you're no longer under investigation. And then they go out and they do all this shit. Oh my God. Oh my God.
With your twin flame journey and your ascension journey. And we agreed. We were like, okay, well, you're here. You paid. You say you want this. So, okay, like, let's go. This is what it is.
Wow.
And so when we invited people to look into their gender and
so what she's saying is that they signed a contract and they paid money. And then if they're trying to back out of it, she's like, well, hey, now you signed a contract, you paid the money, you committed to this. So now you have to go through with this. That's what I'm hearing.
Into their sexuality and, to feel what's there, feel what is the truth, to heal any upsets that arrive.
And then there's the upsets.
And come to your own conclusion. That was what you wanted from us. And that is what we decided to do for you. There were many people that we invited to look into what their polarity was.
Invited.
And they have never been happier. Like,
oh my God. Oh my God.
Absolutely happy and thriving. And they're
thriving,
say
guys.
that, like,
they're thriving.
Yeah, it was always there before we were even inviting them to look at their polarity. Like, they knew. They're like, yeah, it was always kind of there.
You guys.
And so then if they wanted to continue exploring that further and changing themselves, hey, that was on them. That was not on us at all. We were just there to help you attract your twin flame to you and have achieve harmonious twin flame union.
And that's done through self-awareness.
It's done through self-awareness.
And self-love.
Yeah. And like, honestly, I don't have any problems if anyone identifies as a lesbian or gay or non-binary. Like, honey, you do you. Like,
except you literally contradict that in other videos. But anyways,
don't even care what I think and feel. Like, I live by my own choices and my own feelings. And like, you should too. You're not like beholden to anyone but yourself. And so, I felt that was very unfair of the former students to say that, because that was so far stretched from the truth.
It's just a narrative the media could cling to and spout and get attention.
Right.
To cause upset.
To frame us further.
It's just, it's not even a good excuse because we've all seen the videos. They're your videos of you talking. You can't blame the media. It's not even that they've made it up with people being actors and like, it's literally from this very YouTube channel. Literally. We've watched them.
Us. I was thinking about that this morning in preparation for this. And you got to ask yourself, like, why Twin Flames Universe? Why were they like the next swing after Nexium got taken down?
Shit, referencing Nexium.
Because our society was thirsty for cult stories. And
you guys, thirsty? Did he just say thirsty?
Nexium documentaries came out and everyone was in an uproar.
And true crime podcasts were popping up everywhere. And
and
then TV shows based on these crime podcasts, true crime podcasts.
Huge sensational wave, pandemic, right? Like, why Jeff and Shaleia and Twin Flames universe? And I think I've got a few reasons. First of all, like Twin Flames was an up and coming, a cultural thing. It wasn't in the lexicon.
Cultural. I never actually noticed that the root word of cultural is cult. But anyway, did he just correct himself? Was he going to say cult and then he switched it to cultural? I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Before all this went big. It was getting there.
Very true, Heather.
And
they are crying.
We were one of the bigger
that makes sense.
Twin Flame, brands out there at the time when this started to get picked up. We felt
I thought you
strongly
invented
that
it though.
Were the only ones
Literally,
doing the real spiritual
hold
work.
on.
There were others doing.
Just not 2 minutes ago, say that these teachings had never been to planet Earth before, and I laughed because that's just so hyperbolic. But he literally said that whole thing. It's never come to planet Earth before. But now he's saying that they were one of the main brands, as if we'll be here all day. I can't pick everything apart.
Real spiritual work. We felt we were the only ones producing the real result of harmonious twin flame union. And we found it was really important to us, like morally, that other people know about this idea. Like, hey, like,
wow,
I have the most extraordinary love,
tiny waterfall
in my life, and I know how to get it. And we
by force
wanted to help other people get it too.
By gaslighting,
it was our dharma, like you said, our moral responsibility to share it with the world if the world was coming to our doorstep. And so that was one of the main like motivations for us in engaging with the media, was because we felt that there was just genuine interest in the concept of twin flames. And for us, we have always felt that it was the natural evolutionary step in relationships. I remember when we were in our 20s, there was this trend of conscious relationships.
Yep.
And I remember thinking like, yeah, we're moving away from soulmate relationships. Like those are great, but they're not eternal. We're not actually designed to be romantic with soulmates. But like,
is this where the sexy time comes in?
Relationships in my mind was really twin flames. And then when I discovered the realm and the concept of twin flames and the word itself, I was like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's it. That's the thing. And that makes total and complete sense. I grew up as a Catholic, and we were taught about Adam.
I really hope that, dude, can we not segue into him crying about Catholicism? Do you guys remember that? His fake crying? Oh my God, that was so much. Are we going to go through that again? Please no. Please say no.
Even how, God created a wife for every man and a husband for every woman,
right?
Hetero. And I just felt like, I am created with somebody. Like I felt it so true in my soul, just this deep resonance of like,
oh God,
I am created as a twin flame with one other person here, like to be romantic with and to go ever deeper in divine love with forever and ever and ever. And this is a spiritual path that brings me ever closer to the divine Godhead. Like God's design.
You guys, the divine Godhead. Take it away, people in the chat.
Is perfect. Of course, God would create a perfect romantic partner for you so that you could go deeper in your relationship with God. It just makes sense. And so, in all of my research and my feelings just verified it. And you can find this as far back as not just, Christianity, but it's also in Islam, in the Quran. It's also even further back in history in Indian spirituality. They have so many their whole pantheon is like twin flames. This concept is very popular in India. And I think
ancient Greece too.
Yes, ancient Greece. It goes back to there as well with was it Socrates talking about this, or is it Plato?
Was it Socrates or Plato? Like they're interchangeable. They're not the same person.
Concept. it's always been there, folks. So when people say, no, you don't have a twin flame, I just laugh. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess earlier humans were wrong. Like they weren't all wrong. Like there's a reason why certain concepts and technologies continue to be passed forward into generations, because there's truth to them. So, were you done talking about this?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So
he's like, no, I wasn't done talking. He didn't even remember, dude. It's only because she mentioned it that he's like, no, I wasn't done. What?
We met each other. We found this thing, twin flames, and it was the most incredible thing.
Wow, look at the face he made, though. Hold on, watch his face.
It was the most incredible thing.
You guys see that face? Weird.
Like I was looking for it, and
that's like a face of disgust or something.
And the next step was, I can't keep this to myself, so I need to share it with others. And so we went about doing that. And this is how we started our career together. And, the reporter from CTV asked me, like, what's your motivation behind everything? And this is my motivation, is I got something beautiful and I wanted to share it with others. And off we went with, we started with Awaken Intimacy, and then it evolved into Twin Flames Universe. And as we were really picking up steam and growing, it was growing culturally. Like Paris Hilton met her twin flame and got married to him on 11/11.
Yeah.
And named her,
oh my God.
her media company 11/11 Media, that she's going to pass on as legacy to her children.
And her daughter was born on November 11th.
Are you guys like all of a sudden Paris Hilton fans? I forgot she existed.
Oh, that's
11/11. Like, hello.
Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox say they're twin flames.
I don't know who they
Nora
are.
Jones, I think, made a song called Flame Twin. Like this was early on. It was starting to get big, and then Vanity Fair reached out.
You guys copied them?
To us after the Vice thing. And so like we're kind of contextualizing like why us. Like Twin Flames was getting big in the culture.
There was a cultural moment. Yeah, there was a cultural moment.
And we were at the forefront of it. And
the Vanity Fair magazine that came out before our spread showed a twin flame couple that that they recognize each other as twin flames. It was Shaman Dirk and it was Princess Margaret of Denmark or something. A princess. Sorry, I forgot.
It's called
her
The
name.
Princess and the Shaman, the article.
Princess and the Shaman, yeah.
And it seemed like they kind of wanted to mint those two as the twin flame leader because they were much more Hollywood friendly and connected. And they wanted to shun us as the bad twin flame couple. Media plays its little puppeteering games, but it doesn't really matter. It's not really relevant.
It's interesting because he's brought puppeteering up before, but I can't remember which one of you guys said it. But it was like he sees himself as a puppet master, which is, of course, it's just a lot of projection going on here. But I backed up because he just said something interesting.
Us as the bad twin flame couple. Media plays its little puppeteering games, but it doesn't really matter. It's not really relevant. The point is like this.
It doesn't matter. It's not relevant. But like literally, that's all they're talking about.
Also, in that moment, like we fully engaged with the press. Like we were.
This is crazy.
This
is crazy.
Giving everything we could to support this Vanity Fair article and to spark.
Oh my God, he's still so butthurt about that because, like P. Fox was saying, he thought this was gonna be really good publicity for them. And it was really, for any of you guys who missed it, on one of the lives, because we watched the video where he interviewed the lady who wrote the Vanity Fair article. He interviewed her. And he thought it was going to, it didn't turn out the way he wanted. And so he took the video down off their YouTube channel, but there's another channel that still has it, and that's how we watched it. And dude, he gets so pissed off. It is really interesting because he literally was trying to force her into saying anything good about them, like that their teaching is valid or that she saw that it worked or whatever. And they're like really trying to trick her into it. And, oh man, it was so good. I know Meg P was there. I remember that specifically. We watched it like 3 times in a row back to back because it was that worth watching. It was so good. And anyway, it's like they had such, and again, just referencing the Vanity Fair article, right? Remember, the cover of that whole thing was this photo shoot. And they talked about the photo shoot a lot in the article and in the videos. They were all so excited about this photo shoot, as in Jeff and Shaleia, right? And they really thought this was going to be the good publicity after the first documentary came out or whatever, or sorry, the Vice article, whatever it was. And like literally it was the opposite. And he's still very much upset about that, as you can see.
And to give it flight, we poured ourselves for a year into it.
Oh my gosh.
And
are you leaving too fast? Good night.
Yeah, unbelievably disappointing when what happened, what came out did. It was just a joke.
Oh my God.
We poured our love into that to bring this into the world.
It was a joke. It was a joke. Oh my God.
And you know, off it went.
Off it went.
Wow.
Podcasts came from it.
We didn't engage in any of the media after that.
No.
Until CTV.
Right.
Because we learned that the media doesn't do anything for you.
They don't care. They're gonna do what they want to do. They're gonna write their little story, and you're just.
I mean, CTV. That's the one we watched, right? Literally. Shout out to that journalist. Her name was Avery. I forgot her last name. She was awesome. We watched that so many times because it was so good. And she's, media, fine. Yes, Netflix. Yeah, that's a media company. So is whatever, Amazon or whatever the other one was from. But that other one, the one that we watched, again, that was a small time, I've never heard of the channel and I've never heard of that journalist. It's not mainstream media, but she did a fucking amazing job. I would say she falls under the category of an investigative journalist. And that's the one they're the most upset and mad at her, because I think it was potentially the most damaging for them, for those who saw it, potentially.
Character.
And they really spend a lot of time trying to walk that one back.
Story, and you give up your story. And that was the last thing I ever said to Alice Hines, who wrote the Vanity Fair magazine, is like, nobody has the right to share my story but me. And I reclaim my story. And this is my story. And this is my truth. And I'm going to share it.
Well, you sold your story.
This is what happened to me.
Sold it to Vanity Fair.
This is us reclaiming that.
Oh, exactly.
So,
oh my God.
Big cultural, bubble with Twin Flames. And then we were driving to the forefront. We're also, like Shaleia was saying, easy to misinterpret. We have a ton of content.
Yeah.
And there were a few people from our community creating drama as they left, didn't want to leave respectfully, had big upsets. Okay. All of that was just primer, though, for the real thing, which was cults and true crime and the pandemic, which got everyone upset and afraid and angry and also
needing their content.
Another element of fear of religions, and like just this huge cultural apex came together, and we were just the easy pickings off the top, eager and willing to engage.
Yeah.
And they gobbled it up, and off it went for 5 years.
Off it went. Yeah.
So we think they've kind of gotten sick of the story. People kind of get this is boring.
Yeah.
Jeff and Shaleia and Twin Flames Universe are not engaging in a way that we want them to.
Ever since
they didn't go down.
Ever since Pluto went into Aquarius, things have changed for the better.
Cool.
Yeah. You hear that, Heather?
Yeah.
Throughout all of this, insane pressure grew. Not because of it.
It's true though.
But despite it.
It's funny because like they're circulating around the media after the Netflix docudrama that like we weren't doing well and we were losing revenue, losing members. But I'll be honest, it wasn't true. We only lost a very small handful of people who were on the fence anyway during the Netflix docudrama. And to be honest, not once did our revenue drop throughout all this.
Yeah, sure.
It just increased because of all the attention.
And also all the attention. The thought that people would join after seeing any of this, but also, they would have just charged people more that were still in the cult, right? To make up. This is crazy.
I guess it's true. Bad press, good press. Any press is good press. Apparently, it didn't mean that we liked it. That's not what we liked. That's not what we wanted. Not what we preferred. but like, it is what it is. And we were under enormous pressure and stress the entire time. And yeah, we did have to adjust ourselves, and that was really hard because we really do like being out there. We like talking.
Yeah,
we like
part of your downfall,
sharing ourselves
for sure.
with you guys, but the environment wasn't conducive for us to do that. So
they're literally the whole point of this video, I know it's hard to tell, is them explaining. Well, it's supposed to be. They haven't done it yet. What they're supposed to be doing is explaining why they took the 3-year hiatus and why they chose to come back now. And again, the irony, right, in the wake of what we've just watched previously, and that I really would be shocked if what we didn't see was them going quiet again. Remember, their most recent video was from 7 days ago, but the other shit that came out was from like 2 or 3 days ago. Anyway, but she's literally kind of touching on it, but not really answering the question at hand here.
We did have to adjust ourselves, and that was really hard because we really do like being out there. We like talking.
Right. What she's saying is they had to shut up because they were under investigation.
We like sharing ourselves with you guys, but the environment wasn't conducive for us to do that. So
and they thought it was safe again.
Anywhere.
We're not going anywhere.
We're not going to stop
Y'all
sharing the twin flame teaching with the world.
No.
Just because the world got upset or it got really, really.
What about when you're in federal prison?
Really, really hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're still here. We're still doing it.
Still here.
Nothing has changed. We're
Hear them, dude. This is what I'm talking about. Can you imagine being the feds watching this? It's like we're back and better than ever. We're still back committing all of our same crimes again, admitting to it on video, self-snitching like a mofo. Guys, I'm just shaking my head and face palming at the same time over here.
Still helping people. People are still getting into harmonious union to this day. People are still healing to this day.
And we've never done anything illegal. So like, we're not going anywhere.
Imagine that.
And we did. We checked in with our professionals, and we said, "Is there something?"
Our professionals. You know who their professionals are, guys? It's people who are in their cult. It's their students. That's who their professionals are, because they've referenced them earlier. It's not. They should have an army of lawyers. They don't have that for some godforsaken reason. And that's why she's saying our professionals. They talked about our professionals in quotes like that at the beginning of this video. And it's supposed to be their top students or whatever, which we saw them on the documentary. It's just, none of them are attorneys, obviously. Okay. I don't think any of them have any formal training or degrees in anything anyway. The best you had was that one girl who took a class in psychology at some point. And that was like, okay.
Legal going on. We don't think so. We pay you guys, and they're like, nope. All your books are straight and fair, and yep, everything is in good order. There's nothing illegal going on, and yeah, like I guess they had the detectives came in and when we lived downstate, investigated us. They didn't find anything because there's nothing going on, you guys. And if you don't like what we're saying, you can turn off your computer. You can leave a group. You can unsubscribe. Like there's no one forcing you here. You can just go.
I think that, beneath this though, the real issue, with all that aside, right, the cultural reasons, there is a spiritual reason that us and this happened. And it's that we're touching a hurt in society.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's a very real hurt. And it's the hurt of a sense of separation from your joy, from God, from love itself. And here we are loudly. And
that's why I think it's so key, right? Again, they just admitted it, that they made people sign contracts. Oh, yikes.
Proudly and confidently shouting, love is real. Love is real. You can have it.
It's for you too. Just listen to us. It sounds like such a good deal. That's what she said, right?
That's what she said.
But it's true. Like we have found a method that can help you attract the life of your dreams. And don't just listen to us and take it at face value. The only way to verify it yourself is to try it on, genuinely try it on, and then see what happens, and then see how you feel. no,
Yeah, but
this
by
isn't
then
really
you're
working. I don't really think this is
Great
for
point,
me.
Twins.
Or, hey, I applied the work and wow, like blocks are clearing. Like my life is getting better. My health is improving. My relationships are improving. Oh my God, my twin flame just unblocked me. I just got a sudden windfall of cash. Like I'm not even like
my twin flame just unblocked me. Why were you blocked in the first place? Oh, because you were stalking them.
Happens all the time.
I'm not even making this up. Like
Yeah.
this
Happens
is
all
what
the time,
literally
guys.
happens is like a daily in our community for those who genuinely do the spiritual work.
She's like, oh, I just got a windfall of money. You know what? Obviously that's bullshit, but you know what's so funny is that even if that were to happen, you know what would have to happen with that money? What is it? 80% goes to them. Sorry, I just
because the spiritual work that we share with you guys has real spiritual results, and that's what I have felt in my life. Like, and I had my spiritual mentor, and she taught me the method, and I tested it when I was with her. I went all in, and I noticed like I started feeling better. Even if nothing was happening externally, everything was changing internally. I was feeling so much better, so much more freer, so much more happier and healthier. I was reframing experiences in my life that were bringing me suffering, and that ultimately started leading me to my liberation. And then I met Jeff, and I had always I had been seeking my twin flame. I'd been looking for him. I had been wondering. I'd been praying to God and asking God. I've been doing my prayers and my little sacred ritual.
But he is God. So how does that work then?
And then one day he just showed up so casually on Facebook, and I was like, oh my God, it's always been you. You've been on my Facebook for like a year, you know. And
they connected through Facebook,
and it was just so peaceful.
Met through Facebook. Really.
It was not what I expected at all.
It was peaceful. It was not what I expected at all. What did you expect? Immediate abuse versus taking time, happening over time?
And which is another common trait I find on the twin flame journey.
It was just so peaceful. It was not what I expected at all. Wow. They never cease to surprise or amaze me, I will just say.
Your twin flame may not always be what you expect. They could be right in front of you and you have like no idea. But this is why we do the inner work, is to heal those blocks so that we can see ourselves and love ourselves there.
Oh my God.
Therefore, see our twin flame and choose and love our twin flame. So I want to move on to kind of.
There you go, Doug.
That
like sounds fancy also.
Question or issue that was brought up in all the docudramas and in a lot of comments from people who were.
I mean, I've got a lot of content still.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's like, let's go with some questions. He's like, I've got a lot of content. Oh boy.
But another big upset that came up and concern was about our wealth and how we make money, and that we make a lot of money, and that we're shoving our luxury goods and our luxurious lifestyle down your throat.
Hang on, table that. Hold on. I just wanted to point out, because remember, the next video that we will watch when we finish this one is this one right here, where he's holding a giant watch and it says Money Talks. An introduction to the money game. You guys see it right here? Let's keep that in mind. That is our next video after this one. So, okay, keep that in mind, because it sounds like they're about to say something that completely flies in the face of that. Not that that is surprising. Okay.
Which I didn't resonate with that. Scrolling through my Instagram, it's mostly just my family and out in nature, with a couple pictures of like, you know, here's our new car that we got, you know.
Other than flaunting our new car that we just got, we're not flaunting our wealth.
I had like one picture of like my Chanel purse, which was special because it was the very last design that Karl Lagerfeld did. And that got in there, and I'm like, in the docudrama, and I'm like, okay, that was one post, you know, but whatever.
Wow.
So I want to talk about that because
literally there's video that we've all seen of Jeff saying that like his life's goal is to be rich because he deserves it or whatever. It's okay. Okay.
That seems like the frame is that we exploit people and we're extracting money from them.
That's literally what you do.
About that?
I think it's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did he practice that? He can't even look at the camera. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh my God, I'm dying.
Seems like the frame is that we exploit people and we're extracting money from them. What do you think about that?
I think it's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite thing, you guys. Bunny, right? Great point. What about the car that got towed away? Yeah, I think that was like a Maserati or something. I guess they had to replace it with another new car. You guys, I just, you can't make this shit up.
Whatever. So I want to talk about that because that seems like the frame is that we exploit people and we're extracting money from them. What do you think about that?
I think it's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
And it couldn't be further from the truth. I think that it is sensationalism, and it's designed to make you upset at us. And
but if that happens, aren't we just supposed to go yell at ourselves in the mirror? Isn't that the answer?
make you not listen to us, and it's part of the cover-up.
It's to make you not listen, you guys. It's to make you not listen to us.
And it's designed to make you upset at us and make you not listen to us. And it's part of
I mean, they don't even need anyone to investigate them. They do all the hard work themselves. Literally. Their videos alone. He's saying, you guys heard it. Wow.
the cover-up. Is you're so upset at Jeff and Shaleia that you won't listen to a word that they say. And if you don't listen to what they say, we can keep going on about our money-grabbing grift. And it's funny that they project all this onto us while it's what they're doing. First of all.
I know. I thought the same thing. Like, yo, you're just grifting off of us.
But let's talk about how our finances are structured. And I'm not holding back here, guys. Like,
hey. He's not holding back.
I like you.
I like you too.
Oh my God.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you. So let's first talk about the essence of money. What is money? This is our teaching, right?
I mean, classic though, right? It sounded like he was about to be like, here's how much money we make, but no, we're going to start with the essence of money.
Where does it come from?
Oh
the
my
essence
God.
of money.
Oh my God.
Is value.
This is his way around. In other words, we're not rich because we steal from people or not extort them, but, charge them all this money and take all their earnings and do all this stuff illegally and evade taxes and fraud and whatever. It's because we're that valuable. And like, literally, that's exactly what he says in that clip that we saw in the documentary where he's like, I deserve a lot of wealth because I'm worth it type of thing. I'm paraphrasing. The way he says it is way worse. What does he say? A great deal of wealth is owed to me or something like that, right? That's how he's trying to rationalize or explain it. In other words, it's almost like they haven't done anything to have this money. It just the universe bestowed it upon them because they're that great. So therefore, there's no crime, and therefore it's not a cult, and therefore people watching this, if you're one of their cult members, keep on culting. Just keep on culting, I guess, would be the takeaway that he would want you to have.
Is I value this, and I can. Money is an exchange medium for value. So like, I have this watch. It's not that expensive. I don't know what not expensive for you is, but it's a $500 watch, and it took all.
First of all, a different watch than the watch that will be featured in the next video. A different watch. The one in the upcoming video is red. You guys, he was about to call it not expensive, and then he's like stops himself to say, I don't know what not expensive for you, and then it's a $500 watch. I don't even
For value. So like, I have this watch. It's not that expensive. I don't know what not expensive.
It's not that expensive is what he's going to say.
So like, I have this watch. It's not that expensive. I don't know what not expensive for you is, but it's a $500 watch.
You guys.
And it took all these people, all this effort to make this watch, and materials and marketing and business systems, and they price it. And I was willing to.
I mean, this dude, $500 is not an expensive watch. And we already know he's going to have another watch in the next video. That's a different watch that I guess is expensive.
Pay $500 for the watch because I valued it at that level of exchange medium.
Oh my God.
And that money goes to the watch creator, right? Because I valued it.
The watch creator? The watch creator? What year do you think this is? 1792?
Created this watch.
No person created that watch. Okay.
And therefore created value, which I paid money for, and that becomes wealth, right?
Okay.
So they created value and I paid money for it. And I got that money by doing the same thing, by creating value for others, right? If you look at a bank,
Exactly.
something called fractional reserve banking,
exactly. Shoe collar.
they're not actually like
that's what I was
handing you money from someone else's savings account that they loan out. What they're doing is they'll loan you money, they create it out of thin air, and they just put a number on their balance sheet that says, I gave you $100,000 for a house, and I put $100,000 promise to pay on my books, right? They didn't actually lend out money. They just wrote it on their books because of they created value in the loan. I don't really want to go into the teaching of that if you don't understand.
Well, they did loan the money. What is wrong with his...
Understand it.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what? Okay. He's like, there's no way I can bullshit this anymore because at some point it is money, you guys. So then
wrote it on their books because of they created value in the loan. I don't really want to go into the teaching of that if you don't understand it.
Yeah. If you don't understand it, like everybody's, oh my God, they win. They win. Everyone is so dumb. They don't. He's like saying, to you who are watching this, you don't understand how buying things works. You don't understand how money works. You wouldn't know how to buy a house. This is just too complicated for you. So I'm not even going to buy. I
promise to pay on my books, right? They didn't actually lend out money. They just wrote it on their books because of they created value in the loan.
Right. Yes.
I don't really want to go into the teaching of that if you don't understand it. Yeah. Wealth is creating value, and our wealth comes from creating value in the lives of our students. That's the point of this. If you don't get value from what I'm offering, the simple point of it is you won't pay me. And by the way, our money doesn't primarily come through the very expensive courses that they like to say.
Yeah, it does.
Our money comes from coaching.
Yeah, and I just want to also say that, especially in the 21st century, so many products and services are based off of apps where you have to subscribe to an ongoing membership, like monthly or annually.
Please, for the love of God, don't compare that to your cult.
Very few options to just.
You're talking about a monthly subscription of whatever, 99 cents, $1, $10 versus a cult.
Outright buy, the app for a lifetime or the service for a lifetime. And actually, we don't operate that way. Like TFAS, you can either buy outright or you can get on like the monthly plan, and I think you pay it off within like a year.
So we offer, we'll finance it for you and give you a payment plan.
Sure, you can do it in installments.
But wait, I thought money was all imaginary anyway, right, Jeff? So then why are you even charging anything?
But like it comes to an end.
You keep it for.
Isn't his whole teaching that he's literally just explained? If you imagine the money, if you just think about the money, if you're worth the money, it'll just appear. That's literally what he's saying. So then why are you charging anybody anything then?
Life.
You're not and you keep it for life. You're not constantly paying us for subscription to watch classes.
And
that's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
You don't even need to buy that stuff to get the teaching. There's
God.
free stuff that gives you the whole teaching. There's really inexpensive stuff that gives you the teaching.
That's not true. Okay.
So it's not even from our products that our real wealth comes from. Most of the wealth comes from coaching, and that's an ongoing relationship.
And the only reason that makes money is because there's people who are paying the coaches. Duh.
Relationship that you can stop at any time. If you aren't getting ongoing value from the coaching, you will stop. And there are other twin flame talkers that will talk to you about twin flames that you can go to that are outside of Twin Flames universe that will gladly take your money and talk about twin flames with you.
Sure. Twin flames
So
point, brilliant.
the only way that we have a sustainable growing fortune is because we create real value in the lives of our clients, our students.
Yeah.
And that is an ongoing relationship. We don't actually have a huge following. It's a few hundred active people at most.
It's only a small cult. It's only a baby cult, but we're growing every day.
And these people get tremendous value in their lives from this teaching, because value, remember,
every
is
Twin Flames
created.
cult, Penny.
And we created the systems that support the teaching. And
yeah,
our community is it's an economy that many people are enjoying.
Great. Thank you for bringing the RICO back into it, Heather. Literally, our community is an economy. Does he not realize he's now just made it so that all of the cult members are now also liable and to be indicted on RICO charges? Does he not realize what he just did? Oh my God, I hope they're all getting lawyers.
And we created the systems that support the teaching. And our community is, it's an economy that.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Whew.
Many people.
For anyone who doesn't know, the way it works with RICO, right, is like literally everyone's then a part of like furthering the RICO, right? It's like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Are enjoying
financial
prosperity from.
Welcome
many
to
people are enjoying benefit
So we're
from.
not an MLM.
It's not an MLM.
We're not an MLM. That's not how our structure and our business works at all. People made that up. They made a little crappy.
I mean, yeah, it's really more of a really top-heavy pyramid scheme where the pyramid would fall over.
Diagram about it, but
it's not.
It doesn't work. It's not how we work.
If we're an MLM, then the American Association of Dentistry, American Dental Association.
Sorry, is that a reference to Charlie Adelson right now? Is that a reference to Charlie Adelson right now? Hang on. Is he literally bringing it back to the Adelsons with all this? Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Whenever I talk about this theory that I'm like, I don't even know how to explain it because it makes no sense. We'll listen one more time. We'll put it to This is it. This is the whole thing right here. This is it.
I'm trying to tell her that this is a big deal. Like if we go to the police on the second extortion, they're going to catch the second extortion, and when they catch them, they're going to turn, and the second extortion is going to turn into the first extortion. And then when you catch the first extortion, the police are going to come talk to us. And then when we tell them what happened, you're going to be in a lot of danger. There's no way I can talk to the police. So by catching the second, it's going to turn into the first. And that's exactly what I say in there.
Twist says, does he know? I mean, they've referenced true crime podcasts a lot in this video. And again, where we started tonight, we had already watched a long portion of this on the last live stream, but they say true crime podcast. They say that a lot. And I wonder, is that what they were doing during the 3-year hiatus? Maybe they know all about the Adelsons, but literally the way he's referencing dentistry of all things is just pretty fucking funny.
It is set up the same way as us, essentially, right? Like we certify coaches and they go out and start their own practice.
Right. And,
it's just dentistry.
I want to talk about one of the aspects of our business that people had a big issue with. And it's about, like how we were structured between like volunteers and also our coaches.
I know.
Now, I want to bring you back about 5 to 7 years ago from today. So about 2019, 2020 or something like that. When we first started what we call the AAC, the
Association of Ascension Coaches.
Yeah. So back in the early days, for quite some time, actually, anyone could, we would certify you as a coach, and that was it. You never had to pay us again. You could just have clients, go out, get clients, teach based off of our teachings. And we found eventually that that was not a sustainable business model for us. That actually all the work and the sweat off of our backs was going to benefit other people in their business more than it would benefit us in our business. And that doesn't create a happy and healthy and harmonious relationship because we were the ones to break ground here. Like the teaching came through us and we shared it. And so it was not a good or sustainable business model
or relationship,
which is one of the clips that they used in the docudrama of Jeff yelling at the students.
Oh, from backhand spanking?
It wasn't even
remember?
yelling. You were just disciplining and sharing your feelings.
He wasn't yelling. He was just loving.
Like these people were, you know, they could make pretty good money off of our backs, off of the work that we were doing, and not have to, I don't know.
Well, their businesses depended on us just the same.
Just the same. It was an ecosystem.
If you want to have, if we wanted to serve these people, our
They're
coaches,
just continuing you guys to talk themselves into these RICO charges.
We needed to have a healthy relationship to be able to continue the direction we were going.
Exactly.
And so the media clipped some, you know, intense part of a passionate, intimate financial relationship that we're having together. It's like a family inside Twin Flames.
Happening.
It's real. It's honest. It's passionate. There are real feelings.
But you just said that money isn't real.
You're allowed to express your feelings and have dialogue and work through them. And the point isn't that we do or do not have intense feelings. The point is that we work through them together. We heal. We come out on the other side and we feel better. And we just got, you know, our dream car, a Ferrari, 458 Spider.
There's the answer. The Corvette was taken away, but you know what? It wasn't their real dream car. They just got their real dream car. This coming right after the we don't flaunt our wealth and the money is imaginary and da da da. He can't not. You know what? How many days are they going to have? I bet this fucking Ferrari is already gone. We literally just heard as of a couple days ago that they searched 2 properties. I bet that Ferrari made it into the driveway and was subsequently towed right back on out. Oh my fucking God.
And we feel better. And we just got, you know, our dream car, a Ferrari, 458 Spider. It's the last naturally aspirated V8 Ferrari they ever made. Super sweet. You can see it on our gram right now.
On our gram, on their Instagram. Somebody go to their, I don't have Instagram. Someone has to go and see if you can find a picture of that car. I guarantee you that car is fucking gone. I guarantee you it's gone. I wonder how much they paid for it. Oh my God. Because you know how it is, right? When you have like a new car and they say like as soon as it rolls off the lot, it's just dropped by like whatever percentage in value. Oh my God.
And it's an indicator of the ongoing success of our community and a testament to the power of our teachings and a
his Ferrari is none of them. Okay. I need to do some looking into things. We're going to call it here for this one. We will finish up with this video on the next round, and then we'll get into the next one where he's flaunting the stupid watch. Let me back this up so we can have some context for next time. This is crazy. This is just, it's like with every sentence, they're talking themselves further and further into more criminal charges. Look at that face. And the RICO coin. I'm going to make a coin. I'm going to make the coin as well. We're going to make it, and I'm going to make it into an emoji. Oh my God, you guys. And the question still remains, will we see another video? Will there be another long hiatus? Will it be that the video from 7 days ago is their final video because then they take another hiatus and then they're in federal prison? Time will tell, guys. Time will tell. Who will be in custody first, them or Fievel? Another great question. Another great question. Also, they're coming for you, Fievel. Time's a ticking. Can't help myself on that one. Right. As soon as you buy a car, it loses value. Yep. So, wow, just a lot of things. I need to look up how much that car would cost. So, you know, this is it. But anyway, look at that face. We will continue on next time. I think tomorrow we might be doing, well, wait, let me think. I feel like, oh yeah, Turtle Boy was coming on Defense Diaries tomorrow. I was just trying to figure out, like, if we do anything tomorrow, we'll probably be doing Adelson's. But anyways, it doesn't matter. We will be back together soon here, either with more Twin Flames or with the other cases that we're covering here and following. So yeah, I don't quite know your gender for real, right? I know. But anyway, love you guys. So happy to be back covering. I mean, just wow, right? Like we were here first. The way that I was shocked when Heather sent me that video for Law&Crime, I was like, oh my God, right? Bunny says this was great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, it's just the insanity continues, right? I mean, so crazy how recent this is. And like that they are just within such a short period of time, it's like all the max self-snitching. They crammed as much in as they possibly could. Good job, guys. To anyone, if you're in Twin Flames and you don't have an attorney, get one now. That's my word of advice to you guys. So love y'all. See you guys next time. But for now, squirrel out.